Today's throwback, we're having a look at the Toybiz Marvel Legends Series 6 Cable. One of the figures that Spot wanted to re-look at in the course of this throwback. Cable does come with, it's kind of like a gun-toting motorcycle. Not quite sure how that works, but also includes a 32-page comic book and wall-mountable display stand. This figure also is superposable, featuring 43 points of articulation. On the back of the package, other figures that you can pick up in this set, we have Juggernaut, Punisher, Cable, Wolverine, and Deadpool. As for your read-up, it says Nathan Summers has traveled back in time to prevent a future war between man and mutant. The soldier called Cable uses mutant abilities to fight for a better tomorrow and seeks his own fate, a man out of time. A telepathic and telekinetic mutant, Cable's physical attributes have been enhanced to superhuman levels, although his telekinesis allows him to levitate objects and erect projectile force shields. He must turn the majority of his energies inward to prevent the techno-organic virus with which he is infected from ravaging the remainder of his body. Cable's techno-organic left arm and shoulder possesses even greater strength than his entirely organic right appendage. Similarly, his right eye enables him to see into the infrared spectrum. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened back up, and when we come back we can get a better look at Cable. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. For your comic book, Cable does come with Cable. Cable. I'm assuming by looking at that artwork that that's Rob Liefeld's work. The face on Cable has a very distinct Liefeld look to it. It says also it's not for resale. Oh, actually it says number 73. Cable, number 73. Some really good artwork on Cable there as well. Put that to the side. I'll probably read that later. Cable doesn't come with any weapons, which is the only downside to this piece. Yes, he does come with one main weapon, which is this, but he doesn't come with any standalone weapons. And as Cable goes, he really should have come with something similar to what we got with Bishop. Bishop came with 2 guns. Cable's got squat. He does have this, though. He has a... I look at this, it looks very similar to what we would see with like a Lobo. It's like a very Lobo-esque hover bike. You can take Cable, and of course you can put him in the bike, and he's got little tread areas there for his feet. You can hold on to the handles, but I don't know. To me, it just seems like a thrown together. I don't even know if he ever used this in the comics, but it seems to me like just a thrown together. We need to give him something. Let's give him this. I believe also, let me just take him off here. I believe also what you can do is unpeg. Oh, by the way, there is articulation. There's a little hinge here. It also swivels. But you can take this off. And I believe I've seen places in images too that you can use it as like a little shoulder-mounted cannon as well. Is it as ridiculous? It's even more ridiculous. You can kind of, I think, fold these back. I mean, they're just pegged in, right? They're just peg them in, and you can kind of fold them back, give them more like a gun look to it. Of the two, I would be more inclined to, to keep it as a sled versus, as a gun. And there's actually 2 peg points too. There's a peg point at the back also there as well. So I mean, it's all right, but for me, to me it just seems like it's a thrown in. Let's just give him something. And if the question was, let's just give him something, then why didn't they just give him guns? Moving that to the side, and let's have a look at Cable. Okay, so Cable as a whole isn't a bad figure, but it seems like the same things that I liked so much about Bishop, I don't like about Cable. Cable's really short. I don't know how he stands up in the comics versus other characters, but he's really short in this figure. And not only is he really short, but he's got a big head, and it doesn't proportion the figure very well. Again, that head is way too big, I think, for this short, stumpy body. Unless the guy is only like 5'3", 5'4", then of course, sure, you know, the body makes sense. But Cable did it, or Bishop did it better, I think. I think Bishop was a better looking figure for what you were getting here. It still has the same coloring, although Bishop's was a little bit darker, still has the blue and the yellow. And Cable also has the inclusion of the this shoulder pad section here as well. It's loose and it flops around a lot. On the back, there is a tab right there that you can pull out, and you can take this whole thing off. At least because it has this here. I mean, if you were just putting the helps put it on the right way. If you had just the shoulder pad as is and it didn't even peg in, I mean, it would flop around. At least you can clip it into place, but I guess the intent was that you could take it off and you can have just, you know, Cable as is, you know, just the way without the shoulders. I prefer, if given the choice, I would have him with the shoulder pads on, but I mean, that's just my preference. Maybe we'll leave it off for the sake of the rest of this review so you guys can see some of the details there. Let's have a look at his face. Now, his face isn't bad. It kind of looks like the sergeant from Avatar, the main bad guy that was in charge. In fact, he would be a pretty good Cable if they ever were to include Cable in any of the future X-Men movies. I'm just throwing it out there. If this video gets up, you know, much later and that movie is already out and he's in it, hey, there you go. Spot called it. Yeah, his face is very chiseled. It's got a very... I also look at it and I think it's a very Judge Dredd look to it. Not necessarily Judge Dredd himself, but the style of artwork from the Judge Dredd comics. Paint is pretty good. He's got kind of these blue veins everywhere, which was something that Toybiz... The one thing I didn't really like about the Toybiz figures was whenever they did veins, they would just put these big blue... They look like little worms all over their arms. Juggernaut was bad for it as well, but Cable's got one on his neck and he's got a whole bunch of them all over his arms. The other arm is, of course, cybernetic, more robotic, and it looks pretty good. The thing is with this Cable is that there's been other Cable figures released that have done this better than what we're looking at right now. If anyone was to say, you know, what is a definitive Cable figure? I need to get a Cable figure. I don't know why somebody would be asking that. I need to get a Cable figure. Which Cable would you recommend? This figure would be the least likely one that I would recommend. It's not bad, but I think even like there was a Hasbro Cable that was done a lot better. This one is just a little too short for my liking. It's a little too short. The paint's good, but it's just a little too short, and there's better Cables out there. There is. Articulation-wise on Cable, well, he does have still the ball hinge socket. So you have the rotation in the ball joint, and then a hinge in the neck. Ball socket hinge shoulders, so they forward, back, out. Nice swivel at the bicep. Double bend at the elbow. Swivel and hinge in the hand, hinge also in the fingers. That also carries over to this handy as well, even though it's, you know, two different kinds of arms. He has a nice ball joint upper torso. He has still a nice swivel waist, and then the legs go forward, back, out, swivel at the thigh, double bend at the knee, swivel at the boot, bend and hinge in the foot, and hinged toes. What would this make this figure a little bit better? Make him a lot taller for starters, and give him some weapons. Maybe if you had added those two things, maybe at least if you had made him a little bit taller, then I would have said this is a good figure. But again, to no discredit to Toybiz, Toybiz was the first to the market to do stuff like this, and it is only a matter of time that the first guy on the block, somebody's going to come along and do it a little bit better. And unfortunately, Cable, unlike some of the other figures that we've been looking at with the Marvel Legends, Cable is one of those figures that is dated by how old he's been released. There is ones better out there to get, and for that reason, Cable, I'm sadly only going to give him a 7. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Toybiz Marvel Legends Cable figure. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's not only going to have more Toybiz Marvel Legends reviews heading your way, but also more videos heading your way as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.